So, I said last week, if you follow Preet's jiu-jitsu philosophy, as soon as somebody cross-faces you, your jiu-jitsu already sucked. But let's say he's in here, got this. So, one of the things that, great moment in here that, if you weren't here last week, that Kane talked about at camp when he went into this whole, what he calls post and beam frame building, which I'd seen, but this detail down here is something that he drew attention to, and I thought it was super smart and a really great moment. So if I have what we call 4 on the floor position right now, he should have had to work for that. Like I didn't just concede this. So 4 on the floor is both shoulder blades flat, both hips flat. So if he has me this flattened out, I still have something I can do before I go to bridge or move my hips and everything. So I'm assuming I have my frame in. Details right here. Okay, this one is in between me and him, so my elbow's tucked in. Okay, this one shouldn't just be pushing on his shoulder. It should be up on his trap. Much better. Now what I'm going to try and do though is get to here, so I have a little bit of kind of like an effect of having shocks in between us. But what I'm going to try and do along with that, and this is what I was referring to with Kane, is he showed this moment where just the posture, okay, from 4 on the floor goes to here. Okay, so that looks familiar from like a fighting stance, like MMA or Muay Thai, where you're kind of like tail tucked in, or the tail tuck posture we have inside closed guard. But you notice a difference just seeing it visually between here, okay, totally flattened out, and here, right? So I haven't even done any energy yet, but just my posture change has given me probably 1 inch to 2 inches of space, okay, to work with. So that's what we're going to do first. So from here, partner's got you totally dead to rights, flattened out. I have my arms in as much as possible, with as good a frame as possible. Now what I'm going to do is try and get this one inside a little bit. So if he's so chest to chest with me that I can't bring it in any deeper, okay, go back again. Okay. And he's driving his shoulder into my neck, first thing I'm going to do from here, okay, is take a little pressure off that cross face. So without bringing my elbow way up, okay, I'm just going to reach up here very quickly, grab right below the ball of his deltoid on his upper bicep, tricep area, and I'm going to do a little oblique crunch, okay? So from here, oblique crunch, and now I can slide my arm in a little deeper. And now from here, okay, notice I'm not bridging. That's a different energy. All I'm doing from here is bringing my elbows in, bringing my tailbone off the floor, okay, and bringing my shoulders forward. Okay, and already from here, I notice a difference. Can you feel the difference?
Yeah, totally.
Yep. So from here, now I just do a little tilt, and I can, if I want, I can bring my knee up and start to block out his hip, so on and so forth. Okay, so one more time. From this side, and then I'll show you the other side. So I reach up very economically, not exposing my elbow, because if I do this, he's going to kill my arm. Yep. So from here, crunch. Here, okay, other side. So from here, not this, that's what I was referring to. Here, elbow in, and now posture, okay? Just try that first with your partners. Make sure you have that, and get some feedback from your partner on top. Make sure that it feels solid. And you should also feel that your arms go from here to here. Okay, kind of cradling the weight. Should feel like it's a stronger position without you having to bridge or shrimp. Okay, from here, same exact thing. So I'm going to assume Eric's like really sprawled out here, got all his weight, okay, he's cranking up that cross face, go ahead. So from here, okay, again, got to make a little calculated move without exposing my elbow too much, because everything's focused on driving in right now. So from here, notice again as I do that, I'm not reaching up here, that's too much motion, too much angle. He'll again feel that and kill my arm in a second. Okay, so it's enough to get my grip, but no more. Here. Now, as I do this, I crunch. My hip is already angled towards him slightly like this, okay? make sure your hand is up here on the trap. This is a better lever that we talked about before, okay, lever effect. This is a push, this is a lever. Now, from here, I can slide my arm inside, so I kind of get that effect, and I bring my elbows together so they're sitting on the front of my rib cage, good, and I have this, but also at this point, this is like the frameology upstairs. Downstairs, I also want to make sure I'm blocking out his hip, because at this point, feeling my posture become stronger, Eric may start to think like, go to, start setting up a mount or at least a knee ride. He may start bringing that up. So I'm checking him here. Okay, so as soon as I feel him go to slide his knee up, I'm immediately ready to bring my elbow and knee together and block that out. I just always want to be ready for that, because the moment people get all over concerned with this and they do like a big bridge, that's when his leg will come right over and he'll mount me, among other things, okay? So just look at that from the other side for a second. One of the little cheats that I'll do once I have this, okay, is sometimes this is not a lot for me to hold up, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll bring my knee up and I'll just connect it to my knee. So see, once I have that little angle of my hips have shifted, I just do that, and now I just have like a little built-in frame on the downstairs, but I can have everything lined up, so it's a very small motion. As soon as he goes to pop up, my elbow and my knee have a very short travel. Right now I'm in there. Okay, so just test that out really quick. Make sure you have that ready to go. So your partner goes from sprawling cross-face pressure, really driving into you, to trying to pop that knee through. And I want you to be sensitive to block that out at any moment. So now we go to the building the post and beam, and we'll do this in a couple stages. So this is, just so everybody gets the idea, the whole principle of building up a posture to feed a short frame, to build the short frame into the long frame, is just a sequential way to do it that's technically efficient and relies as little on strength as possible. Okay? And that's the idea, right? So it's not just about like put your hands here, bridge and move, right? As you know, once you get partners who have really good control of tightness and weight distribution, and they've already good enough to have passed you and gotten you flattened out with a crossface, it becomes really hard to just bridge and get your knee in, right? So now we have to be doing a little bit more work, but smarter work, to go, first I go to here, technically with building a frame, and then create a little bit of leverage, and that allows me to get to this level of a short frame, and now I go a little angle, make that stronger. Now I can start to build that into a long frame. Now my hips have more freedom, now I can get my leg in, so on and so forth. Sometimes it is that much of a sequence, but if you screw up anywhere along the line, your frame, you just beat it yourself, right? So we're building this very piece by piece. Okay, so from here, little bridge. Make sure, this is very important where your hand is up here now, not down here on your chest, because I need this lever action. I lift, bring this in, okay, and as he comes back down, I've already got this in. Little bit of a buffer. Now, one thing that I came away with from working this is if we stop here for a second, there's that smear that I like to do where I kill the near side arm by going up. So if I stop here for just a sec, okay, I was trying to figure out how to problem solve against myself here. So if somebody does this to me, if you go straight up, boom, right? Now my arm is killed up in that direction where I'm not strong, and now he can start to come across and attack. So, solution here is this. Once I get this in, before I do the next stage, I'm just going to have you finish doing this. Okay? So notice that I'm not all the way on my side. That would be stupid. I'm exposing my back. Okay? If I do this, that's not good, right? I'm taking a very slight shift into Eric, and you notice now the line of force is no longer straight up above me, but it's there for a second. So if he goes to kill it in that direction, can't do it. But yet I'm not enough on my side, so if he all of a sudden just hips in, that he's going to have my back, right? Like I'm still, my elbows are still buried, okay? So, posture, little bridge if I need it, post, or excuse me, beam, and then post. elbow, make sure it's tucked in. Okay, this is too much strength. Now he comes down on me, right? Now I've got a good momentary control here, and we'll build on this on the next phase, but let's get this one first. Okay? So go all the way from the beginning. Just so without a partner, you can clearly see the amount of angle I'm getting from here. Here, bring my arm in. Okay. A little bit of an angle towards my partner. Okay. Now when I go to move, bridge, very important that I slide this in as my body comes down, but I don't let them come down on top of me because now I'm down at 0, 0 again, and I can't push them back up. That's the whole thing. So that's why the little bridge in there, once you've got your posture improved from here to here, okay, now slide that in so as my body comes down, it's always the idea of a bridge from bottom, little pop of the hips here, so that you raise up to max amplitude and you maintain the space that you create by going back down again. So for a moment they're kind of cradled here and I go 1, 2, and then my angle right at the end is just a slight here. So I move myself slightly up and into them just a little bit, like that. And now as people were finding, as you were testing out that moment, that it really has to be a moment, because if your partner angers onto you to try and hunker down, you're strong there, but you're not strong for long because they'll find a way to capitalize on it. So if you come here for just a sec, and just take that, just go ahead and take that post and beam position. So that's pretty good. I can feel how well supported he is. I can't just slide up and kill his arm, but okay, I'm still holding on like this, and I'll be able to beat it eventually. And also, like as Mal just said, you know, if he just hangs out here and is like celebrating, you know, I could be turning that into an armbar, right? It's kind of right there baiting me to wrap it. So this is just a little building block to now go and improve my angle and my arm position so it's not vulnerable, right? So just this is just something that I would do, this little angle in, if somebody is really trying to smash it. As soon as you feel this, okay, however quickly, so they're not trying to pull in, I'd immediately bury that arm again. Good. And be going to the next stage. The next stage moves the hips in the direction that Eric just showed. So let me illustrate it. 1, 2, switch. Okay, so once I'm in here, very quickly, right, I'm going to take the post and beam and change it to the opposite post and beam. So I've got a nice angle in here right now, but before this goes bad, okay, I use this space to go here. Okay, see the little transition? Just opposite. Now he's coming into me. Okay, now this near side arm isn't available for an arm lock, and now from here, okay, I can move. Okay. 1, posture. 2, post and beam, slight angle, switch. Okay, so now he can be holding on all he wants, but really drive into me, give me all your weight.
I wouldn't drive that silly.
Exactly. Okay, now I'm back in, ready to start making an escape. Make sense? Okay, let's go. So the question was, does it matter if you switch your hands? Yes, because right here, if I go like this, nothing's supporting the beam. There's no post. It's going to come back down. So it's very important that once I'm here, okay, I immediately go that way, right? It's like a nice, okay, bust this out at the clubs. That's a nice little move as you move your hips side to side. Do it. Good. So I get here. I've gone all the way from posture to short frame to long frame. Okay, this is almost a long frame. I'd say it's actually like it's an improved short frame. It's kind of medium frame. It's enough for me to escape. Now sometimes what will happen in here is once I get this angle, I'm in really good shape. And the chances of Eric being able to still beat me to this side, straight on, are getting less and less for him. Okay, he might maintain the position, but he's got a jockey now to keep it as opposed to just dominating, right? And I'm flailing to try and get out. What may happen is he's going to adjust somehow by switching his body to come this way. Usually the first thing that's going to happen there is this arm will travel to the far side. Good. This one will start to come over here, right? And whether he does that slow or fast, he's going to start to try and go around my frame before I get everything connected. Because I'm building the escape on this side, right? So once I get here, as soon as I feel that arm come over, now I'm into this, right? So my hand just goes full long frame into his armpit. Sometimes I'm even start with both. But as soon as I have coasted here and trimmed into him, now this arm backstrokes, and now I start to make my motion. So one of two things happens here always, is I can't just hang out here because he will come around. Okay, go ahead. Yep, now he's killed it. So I've got to be in motion and stay ahead of his angle. So once I'm here, okay, again, I don't try and get up at this point. I throw my arm back, backstroke, and now I can come up onto my elbow, right? And see how I'm ahead of his angle, and now I just keep ahead of it. So I'm going to start to come up like this, and what happens is, as I do this, give me your weight. As I do this, there's a certain point where he'll just fall over, or you get somebody who's really busting a move, and typically if they're bigger, heavier than you are, sometimes you may get here, and they're just not going over, so you just move yourself, right? You come back, pull guard, or come to your knees. Sometimes it just goes neutral, but you're back in the game at that point. Okay, so let's get it from this side. I'm gonna get back over here. So here, that arm comes over. I'm catching. This arm comes all the way back, and I start to build my base. Okay. Number one thing here. Go ahead and give me your weight. Is watch this. Okay. What did I do wrong? Okay. Keep pressure, like you're really doing it. Okay. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. What did I do wrong?
Started moving backwards.
What's that?
Started moving backwards.
Yeah. Okay. Again. So here.
Collapse your arm.
Collapse my arm. Okay. That's the single biggest mistake. You can do everything else right. I get here, see good, 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 good. I just killed it. I let him bring me back down to zero. So make sure that no matter what you're doing in here, moving yourself, bringing him over, this arm stays locked. That's a frame. This is not. This is like you took a steel beam and came over and hammered it with a mallet or something and collapsed it, right? So back over here, please. So say I get to this point, arm comes over, good, catch it right in transition, good, 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 all the way over, boom. Okay, let's try it. So the whole idea we were talking about is on the post and beam, it's trying to build a posture, assuming my partner has a crossface. Okay, actually let's go back to that for a second. So if we look in here like this, okay, I'm very flat right now, and he'd be driving his shoulder into my neck. So without exposing my arm, coming right up here, so he's just gonna slide up and kill my arm. Okay, I make a very calculated short motion here, and I pull that in and I crunch. Okay, so the crunch motion here. Now this will allow me to get my arm, if not all the way inside, then at least a little bit more in, so my elbows can rest not by my sides, but on the front of my rib cage a little bit more, okay, ideally. And then I do my little crunch. So my tailbone comes off the mat, my shoulders come forward, and now I've got a little bit of buoyancy here with Kev riding up, and I've given myself a little bit of a pocket of room just on my posture. And that was where everything started. But again, the very first comment was, you know, to some extent, even though this happens, and partially joking, it's also dead serious. If I let this happen, I've already screwed up. And another thing, for myself, you know, it's kind of like, just break for a second. You know, the way that you sort of see what happens as much as jujitsu is the soft art, and by that we mean in terms of efficiency, not so much in terms of, it's not Tai Chi, right? I've kind of come to the conclusion, my little saying is like 50% of jujitsu guys and wrestlers have bad necks, and the other 50 will. But part of my whole project with like 40 plus BJJ and everything has been not just moves or something, because those are out there plentifully, but it's been technical strategy. So I'm always thinking about, well, how could we make it so that aside from just having maybe a super squirmy game and being super flexible so you never really get jacked up too much on your neck, and you're relying on attributes for safety, or you're bigger than everybody you ever train with, right? Which could maybe also be something, you're like a world-class strongman. Nobody can even move your neck. Let's try and figure out how from the get-go we can be preventative so it never happens to you, or you at least mitigate the damage that can happen over years of wear and tear, getting crossface and things. Or if you already have the damage like I do, how can I make it so I can play around it and not have it get exacerbated? So Kev comes in. The whole idea in here is, in most cases, unless somebody's passing high, so like they're coming around a Toriando pass and then touching down to knee ride or something, in most cases he had to control my lower body first, right? So let's actually back up one step. So say he's in here like this, he's clearing my leg, okay? I didn't catch it in time, and now I'm doing the overhook, okay? So I'm coming in here. And the idea here is not to play this, okay? Because as we play this game, okay, I can squirm around and stuff, but this is still tiring to me, okay? I have a bit of a frame, but he can continue to move his body up, and then he's gonna fill in the spaces, he's going to move around it. So if we just go live here for a second, go ahead. Sooner or later, right, he squirms in. He'll either swim his arm, or he'll advance his body, or both, and then we're back to square one. Okay, so let's go back again. So as he's coming around, okay, I'm trying to actually reach up with this arm, not just keep it away, but hook it, and I drive down with my forearm and elbow on his forearm while I pull this in to me tight. 1. 2 is the same crunch we talked about before. Okay, so I'm doing this little oblique crunch, and my leg is still off the floor, checking his hip. Now, I've got him lined up, so as much as I don't want to be here, okay, so here are my frames, as much as I don't want to be here, and he does have me controlled with his weight, I'm all lined up, so if he raises his hips up even a little bit here, okay, I'm going to be able to make the connection between my elbow and my knee and go right into traditional escapes. Okay. But the first thing I want to train is this moment. So I want you to let your partner, as long as it's a low pass, okay, again, not, we switch for a second. You don't want to be this guy. Okay, whoa, why don't you overhook me, bro? Like, obviously, right, you're blowing your partner's spot up, so I want you to be low, like either on your knees, or even if you're on the balls of your feet, right? It's gonna be down here. So I'm working to clear that. He's kind of holding back and letting me do it, just not being a dead fish about it. But once I come around, okay, he's looking to reach up, grab the ball of my arm, pull it in, now suck it into you, and that's it. So as I come in here, yeah. The only way for me to get rid of this right now, okay, is to kind of raise up out of it, like I just talked about. We don't want to start there. So from here, I go, all right, well, let me try this one, and then he's in, okay? So that's what I want you guys to mimic right now, is that moment. Let's try that first. So the thing would be, if you pass, you're already here, and now I'm trying to fish for this, right? And now you're gonna grab, like, yeah, in here, okay? So that's a good question. Everybody see this right here? What he's talking about? So this is why, even though it looks almost the same, this position would be like a plan B, like I didn't get my ideal grip on the arm. This isn't as good, okay? So plan A is, he's committed low. Before he comes up and can do that, I'm grabbing up here. See where my elbow is though? I don't tuck it inside his forearm. I come over his forearm with my elbow, and I use the inside of my elbow to push it down and in, and now I crunch. Okay, so that's the better position. I've kind of folded it inside. So now he really has to come like up and over it to get rid of this, in which case I have space. Make sense? So that's an adjustment I want everybody to make. And it's training yourself really, left side, right side, to be thinking one step ahead. Because you have in there that little gauge that's, am I still fighting for space? You know, can I still be moving here and getting my guard? Or like, no, he's got my hip. Before this goes any further, okay, I'm here. Like he's touched down, he's climbing me. I'm controlled. Don't give up the crossface. Okay? Crossface is evil, right? So, now that I have this, everything else is pretty much the same. So I've got this, my knee is up against his far hip here, checking, and if I can, okay, not only do I have this little crunch, but I always like to be a little bit on my side, okay? My arm still wants to be in, so I get that little motion from here. Now, often if he's like just pulling himself into me, like bringing his knee and his elbow here together, just hugging my hips super low, it may not be possible for me to move at all. But as soon as I feel anything on him, I'm going to try and keep him off this 0 point because he's just shy of it right now. Okay, he's not quite lined up to the bullseye of my chest. But if we're here and he just creeps up a little bit more, good there. Now he's got that. And now once he frees this arm, I'm going to be really controlled. Okay, so I want to try and preempt this a little bit early. So I have to be over, I have to push this in, I have to have my crunch, and I have to make sure I've got everything lined up in here. Now, what I'm going to do, and I could do this with a small bridge if I need to, but as soon as I feel him like making any adjustments in here, okay, I'm going to build my base. Very similar to Eduardo Teles' game, but I'm not going to have to, in this game, be gi dependent and reach to the far leg, for those of you that have seen his game. Okay, so from here, I'm going to make this switch. Okay, this hand will go to the inside of his armpit. Okay, so from here, as I do this, I don't bring this arm out, I retract it. Okay, so from here, I do this, one, and immediately following, my lower body moves here. Okay? Now you'll notice the bladedness of my body. If I go halfway, he drives into me, I get crushed. Okay? If I do everything well with my lower body, but he drives his, with my upper body, but he drives his knee into me, from here he's gonna come up past this. Okay, I kind of didn't get it. And also, if I do everything else right, but I'm here, my arm's here, okay, drive into me, and maybe he picks up my arm, done. So you have to line all your ducks up in a row here. Okay. So, just coming around. Okay. Get this crunched in. Good. My knee is over here checking. Okay, always, because otherwise he's going to pop to knee ride or maybe a quick opportunistic mount while you're all focused up here. Okay, now when I get ready to make my move, this hand here has to slide to the inside of his armpit. If you have very short arms, you might just check on his shoulder. It's possible, obviously, to grab low underneath here on his gi, but this way we're just training ourselves to go gi or no gi if we just kind of do the V, the shuffleboard grip inside his armpit. So from here, boom, retract and switch. So my shin across his hip, my hook's kind of running into the back of his butt, and I have to complete this motion here. And once I have this, drive into me, okay, you're super supported, okay? Very, very hard. There's no clock joke here, any of that stuff. He can't just hop to the other side because my leg is there. Now I'm in good shape to be able to go somewhere else, okay? So let's get that one. From here, buried in. make it part of my body, crunch. I want to make that transition. This hand has to slide. Remember, even if I do a little bridge, so if I'm kind of here, this hand isn't going, it's not bridge, and then that it's kind of sliding into place. So from here, here. So as this arrives, this one retracts, and I pull it underneath me, just so what Kev was talking about before doesn't happen, so he doesn't hold on to it. Okay, so this one is buried in, so his hand isn't really accessible to a grip at this moment, and I make sure I keep it that way. So from here, good. And now as soon as this is arriving, I have that here, okay? Very solid base. And again, it could be here, it could be here, but to make sure that we're not reliant on any particular grip, kind of like this. And again, the turtle guard stuff, you know, this isn't, the purpose here isn't to play turtle guard, because there are obviously some people that are really good with it, that can hang out all day. Just keep in mind again, if we have the filter that we've got sport jiu-jitsu in its own right, but we never want to stray too far from reality. I don't want to get into the whole, discussion again, because I know we talked about it before, but anytime I'm hanging out, too long playing this type of stuff, I do that so I can get fluent with the position and learn where I have holes, not as a habit. So I do that very willfully. I don't like to get in a situation where that becomes my game, is to, kind of just hang out in here like this and then play and like look for sweeps and stuff, because the entire time, if I ever had that as a habit in self-defense situation, Kevin would be punching me in the face and head over and over and over again. Okay, so I like to keep this transition. The nice thing about this is, even for my MMA guys, is we get in here, and aside from getting into the stuff that like the jiu-jitsu escapes, to kind of get back to guard that we'll talk about next, this from here, again, he can disengage off of this, so I'm not hanging out in this position. This from here becomes, I get it. I know he may be like trying to hold on to my foot here or something, but this becomes me like pulling out and ready to just scramble. But again, the whole principle is universal. Gi, no gi, sport, jiu-jitsu, sport in terms of MMA, rules fighting, and self-defense situation, I denied controlling 0 point, right? Nobody ever quite got there. Close. Got on top, yes. Kept him close, smothered the control of my neck, smothered the punch. If they raise up to get rid of the arm for any reason, whether it's to hit or to improve their position, I make the connection, get back to my guard, or I go for this, right? And so kind of like developing a good habit that transcends the environment. Now, let's just look at that on the other side real quick so you can see what my legs do. So come over here. Saw the transition from that side. Okay, so from here, up nice and close here, checking. So as I make that transition, again, maybe his motion initiating it, I may have to do a little bump, but from here, as soon as this hand slides to the armpit, the other one is underneath me, out of dodge. And this is immediately here. And this is not good enough. I have to make sure I build my base. I also don't want to just have my knee here. Remember the whole principle about no separation. So I want to have my knee close to my rib cage. It's stronger. Okay, my hook is here to intercept if he tries to reverse directions. And I've got great base. So even a huge guy driving into me right now is not going to be able to flatten me out. Okay? So try that a couple more times, and then we'll just go into the escape finishes. Can you go in the back for a second? So their question was here. So Kev's overhooking my arm, and now I start to do this, kind of bring this up. Maybe it happened earlier, like I was kind of already here, as opposed to me going from leg control, coming around his leg, getting in position, and trying to circle up here and play this game to get to his neck. I just start going this way. Okay? So the answer to that is you're always trying to trap the arm and prevent the crossface. So once I have this, pushing his elbow down and his forearm down and then crunch to lock it into place. But if he did do that, a couple things to note, right? So he's coming here. Now, he's not necessarily, I'm too tight in here unless he lifts up to get the crossface. So he'd be sort of circling his arm over from this side, right? So if that happens, it could, right? But I'm not, like, one mission accomplished, no crossface. Now he's trying to get his arm over here. Okay, so go ahead. And now I'm back to that one. Right. I still keep him, it's only possible to do it that easily, really, because he's still down here. He's not centered here yet. Still kind of have him controlled down, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, as long as you are good, there's no crossface, you're okay, you're still in the game. Now,
Hey, just to backtrack a second, I do have a question. Is that the shape enough? Like when you get there on occasion on one side or the other, I think it's my left side, I miss the arm, like miss the arm, miss the arm, miss the arm. But like if I can get to this position, can you find the arm? It like gives you a second, like my leg is still there. It's like, you can still find it if you have the second to be able to grip out. But as I slip down, I'm missing the elbow there. Does that make sense to you?
I think so.
Like
but
from the crossface?
But if I understand you correctly,
Yeah.
if I were in early retention,
Boom.
so he's coming around,
And
I
now
kind of
you're
get here, but maybe I
you
don't
missed
hit
the
his
arm
yet.
Yes, sir. You
I'm
missed
already thinking out, not wait for him to come
All right.
get me.
Okay. I get
Like
it.
you're good.
I
Just
got
go to
Go to guard.
pull guard. Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I kept missing that arm on that side.
Pull guard, or if I'm here, say he's got his arm back, like, oh, don't grab me, no, like shoulder.
Gotcha.
Okay. So no problem there. That's a good situation. That means you never really had to use this. It just looked like this position because you were in this posture before he ever passed. Okay. Now we're going from, he has passed, but I don't want him to get, it's 0 point, right? Don't let him get that full control. So now we go into the actual finishes to the position. So let's go into the escapes. Okay. So now, as Rosie starts to come up climbing, the same posture. Okay, I get here. Now, for the escapes, I have a couple main routes. And if you have a bad neck, the first one may not specifically work for you, but I want you to just be aware that you can still do this in a very tight roll through, and it shouldn't bother you unless you have an issue, as long as you get the good posture first. Again, if I make myself too stretched out, so if you see it, this is one of the things I was talking to you guys about upstairs, your legs too kicked out. So my posture from the side, instead of looking like this, looks like this, that can compromise you. Or, if I haven't got enough rotation, so I'm like this, and Rosie putting weight into me, like kind of driving me back, that'll compromise you. So I need to make sure I have enough structure. And once I'm here, okay, I'm in good shape. So literally all I'm gonna do is just tuck my head underneath, and I roll through. And I come right back to here, okay? It's a very tight roll, and I shouldn't be rolling on the back of my neck. As we've continued to talk about in different scenarios, I should be rolling on my upper back, okay? So one more time. All the way in here, okay? I wait for my moment, transition, bridge, get here. Now, he's putting weight into me. The more I'm staying in contact with his hip, the easier my roll is. I just want to make sure that I tuck my head under. Okay, from here, keep contact, come through leg wide, and now I'm right back into my posture, getting grips, but my knees are tight to my chest and I'm ready to cast a wide net there to receive it. Okay? So, again, point just made. I get here, good structure. I want to make sure that I'm not trying to get up on the back of my neck, but I stay on my upper back to roll through. Just creep around here for a second. From this position, it's okay for my head to be up here, so I'm using my frame for distance. When I get ready to roll through though, I want to make sure I'm not compressing my spine, so I just tuck my head in, okay? And the more weight he gives me, the better. So I want to have contact here, and I want to have contact here, constant the whole time, even as I roll. So as he's leaning into me, okay, I make just this little adjustment. Head puffs in, roll through, nice and wide. Then we're good, okay? So that looked much better as everybody was paying attention to that. So you guys know, as soon as you start to look like this, that's too much compression and it's gonna slow you down. So it's both safety and efficiency. Now the other one, this is available to you as well and should be kind of your go-to if you have a bad neck or back. You gotta watch out for yourself. The main magic here is building the base. So from here, what I'm going to do is get up onto my elbow. Now if he's giving me a lot of pressure, especially if he's a big guy, I'm not going to be able to go like this. So instead, I bring my arm through, okay, and I just kind of get up here like this, okay? So pose to my shoulder, pose to my hand. Now, I'm going to bring my bottom leg through and pull guard. What I don't want to do is this, because right as I sit back, he taps my knee and he comes around, okay? And especially if we're talking about somebody who's more athletic, faster than you, they just bust a move, they helicopter spin around you like really aggressively, and then you're playing catch up the whole time. If you're lucky, you fight for half guard. So a simple way to mitigate that, from here I bring this out, my bottom knee is going to come to my chest, and I'm going to go from having this be my bottom leg to being my top leg. Let me show you what I mean from here. Change my angle as I fall back through. Okay, so this was just what he wanted to come around this way, and instead I make it a dam and shift my angle. So as he comes that way, he runs into a wall. Right now I can come back. So I'm not even coming to neutral. I'm slightly tilting to the side that was just down. Make sense to everybody? Okay, one more time from the other side. Okay, so I got here. So my shoulders down, bring this through. Come through here. Looking for grips. Let's go. Okay. So this situation is I did everything right except he was knowing or feeling what I'm doing and he really wants to stay inside my shin. So timing wise, if I get really good at this, I'm going to be very good at like that little cylindric rotation away from him to get my shin across his hip. But sometimes he'll drive his knee and hip into me to get in between my upper body and my thigh before I can get my shin across. Does that make sense to everybody? So just to illustrate, okay. So I go here, and then he's weighing. Now even from here, if I have this good rotation, I can use my hip escape to get my shin in. Sometimes he really drives in hard, okay? So this happens, okay? Now, or sometimes he may even be like kind of sneaking up on knee ride. Or should that, nice. Okay. Yeah, so he's kind of coming up in here like that, and then I'm trying to show that, so I'm not quite there. I have to switch to something else. And what happens is, a threat that's not there, if I get my shin across, all of a sudden becomes there if I'm framing for any amount of time once he's inside here, and that is the Darce style wrap on my arm. Because from here, he's in close, so all of a sudden you'll feel people do this a lot. So what I want you guys to feel is, minus just going back to your regular posture, fighting back. If I get caught in this moment, so he really drives in, and all of a sudden I feel that arm coming through, I have to watch out for that. Because by the point that I'm bringing this back in and he's already feeding me. So what I want you guys to think about from here is this is a move from half guard, but it will also work from side control. As I'm here, I start to feel that snake in. Very early, I come down, okay, and I'm just gonna grab anywhere from his wrist to his forearm, and I lock my own elbow down like this, okay? Because if I grab up too high and he advances, he'll be able to choke me no matter what. So I want to be down close to my core where my elbow's strong so he can't get up any higher. So I'm here, I feel that snake in, I grab, lock my elbow in, okay? That traps this. Now, I'm going to try and keep the crossface away, so if he starts to turn into me, and I start to shrimp away. Now, if I shrimp away and he does nothing, I'm just going to pull my leg through. He's going to follow me. So from here, I start shrimping, Okay, so shrimping, he comes in, now watch. Just bring him all the way over. So let me show from this side. The idea is this, okay? He's got his knee all the way in. He starts to come in. I grab. If I try and roll him right now, he's just gonna set his base. Nothing happens except I get a hernia. So instead, if I don't do anything, right, if I don't try and roll, okay, go ahead, what would you do? Right. Yeah, he's gonna start to improve his position, lock me down, either work on this choke or square up to me and start to get pressure. So what I'm trying to do is, from here, I try and keep the cross face away, and I shrimp away from him, make him follow me. Again, if he doesn't, I do what?
Pull guard.
Pull guard, right? So I've got to start hip escaping, good from here, and as he tries to overtake me and stays tight, I'm going to just circle my head underneath his legs. So I'm not trying to roll him from left to right, I'm trying to go underneath him and make him fall into space. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go ahead and try that. So you've got to play the role as the partner now. We switch. You're very cued into what's going on and you got to be a little bit earlier. So he's got the overhook on my arm, okay? Makes his motion. Good. That time he got it, so I have to be a little quicker. I can't just watch this time, right? Good. So he's doing this. I start to snake this in. Good. You shrimp away from me. That's it. Have I got it? One thing I haven't shown yet. My disclaimer is this is not a fundamental, so everything else we've done is extremely fundamentally sound. This is, well, let me put it this way. This isn't a fundamental, it doesn't mean that it's not sound. There's actually some judo throws that use this principle. There's times when in the previous technique where you pass the arm over that you wind up in a situation where you can do this a little bit more distance, but I'm going to show you a reversal to get on top of somebody who's on top of you with a crossface that you can do sometimes if they're overcompensating with their weight. Much easier to do with smaller people, but I also know some lightweights who've been able to use this escape, and they use it a lot for heavyweights. But the thing is, it's not something that everybody will do. So I just wanted to let you know it's a little more of a timing trick and a sensitivity trick. I wouldn't do it if somebody's got a really well laid out shoulder of justice with good weight distribution. You have to feel when to do it, but I'm just going to show you this idea because I do hit this once in a while. So, especially if I've made a little space here and I feel like John's kind of having to drive back into me with his crossface. Okay? So maybe I'm moving from here and I feel I'm really trying to overcompensate. So I'm going to bridge up as hard as I can in this direction. And if I feel him coming back into me, I do that. All right? So let me explain the mechanics real quick. So when I do this, I go up in that direction, okay, standard 45-degree angle bridge. When I come down, I'm doing a couple things, okay? One is I give him a little chop here because I want his head moving that way. And then what I do here is I'm hitting his elbow. Okay, it looks bad to do this, right, because it looks like he's going to kill my arm. But as his head goes down a little bit with like a little karate chop motion here, I'm hitting his elbow, bridging in that direction up over my shoulder, and very important is I run. So I'm kind of doing like a running man motion at the same time, right? So what happens is from here, I hit John's arm and he rolls over and I wind up on top. Now sometimes the angle is such, if I'm here, I'm great, right? I have a sit out position, underhook, all good. Sometimes you may hit the angle such that you run, and you wind up reversing him and you come here so his head's on the other side. If this happens, obviously I don't want to just let go because he's going to climb up on my back. So if this happens, you hug tight, and now from here, I come into him. So John, if you try and get on top of me from here, good. So I come into him, and sometimes what I'll do from here is if I feel him really trying to get on his side and pull this arm out, okay, is I'll actually take the arm lock right here. But my first thing isn't fishing for the arm, my first thing is making sure that I have him solidly pinned, because my real main move is here is going to be, it's going to be to block his legs and to turn back into him. But just to let you know, sometimes if you do wind up here, he tries to get out. Good, I just take the arm. Okay? So, let me do it once without John. Okay, from here, I'm moving, kind of making him chase, and I feel like, he's just a little bit too much trying to overtake me. He's a little too committed. Okay, I wouldn't do this if I'm like crushed in here and his hips are super low and he's all spread out, like his weight's set kind of here, right? Feel him like a little bit, hips a little too high, coming into me a little too much. From here, big bridge, head goes that way, so now I'm just dealing with the arm. Okay, I essentially want his arm to go like this, so he has to fall in that direction. So from here, 1, 2, run until you get on top. Make sense? All right. Try it nice and easy with your partner not obviously trying to pull their hips back too much, and then just kind of put it in a little bit more energy, a little more energy, so you feel the timing at least. And then if you play with this, I would recommend, if you're a blue belt, do it with a white belt first, and somebody who's maybe a little smaller. Figure out if you like it at all, but I wouldn't do it if the first person I'm going to try it against would not be, John, Mr. Smash cross face guy. That's probably not going to work out well. So, all right, let's try it.